Yeah, hi everyone. Good morning and good evening. So today's videos are based on SAP MII Workbench, where I will show you what all types of objects you can create in SAP MII. So in one of my previous video, I have already explained about a three part of Workbench that includes the Workbench Overview, and as well as what all objects you can create in SAP MII Workbench. So for the quick a recap, here I'm just showing the Workbench overview where a catalog, objects, web and meta INF, these all are the four tabs that are available in SAP MII Workbench. So I will tell you what all objects you can create inside each of the tab. So here you can see a screen where I have listed down that which objects at which tab you can create. So here SAP MII a project. So SAP MII project is your first object that need to be created in SAP MII Workbench. Without creating a SAP MII project, you cannot create any object in SAP MII. So project is your server level object. So whenever I'm saying a server level object, it means you can create a project inside a server, SAP MI server. And here you can see inside the project, you can create your business logic services transaction, query templates, display templates, and that can be created only in catalog tab in SAP MII. MDO object, KPI and alert, this also you can create in MII, but it can only be created in object tab. And there is a web page. So web page related, either you are going to create a HTML file, CSS or JS file, or if you are using any UI technology and you are going to write the code for that, that all codes need to be available in web tab only. And shared properties, if you want to create a shared property, so I have already explained about the shared property, so that actually you need to go into the web INF tab. Okay, so let me log into the SAP MI Workbench. So this is your SAP MI screen. Click on the content development, and inside that content development you can see there is a workbench. So click on the workbench. To open the workbench, a Java need to be there in your client system. Just click on run, run, run. Click on don't block. So this is SAP MI Workbench. And for that already I have given an overview. And the tab I was talking about, that was the catalog, object, web, and meta NF. Okay, so these all are the tabs, and each tabs corresponds to only a specific object creation. You cannot create a transaction in the object tab. So transaction can only be created inside a catalog tab. So if you have to create MDO, you need to navigate to the object, and then you have to create here the object. If you need to create HTML, CSS file, you need to click on the web, and then inside that you can create, inside any project, you can create a web related data. In MetaINF, you can create your shared memory properties. So the first object that you need to create in SAP MII is that is a project. So without creating a project in SAP MII, you cannot create any object like transaction, MDOs. You cannot create anything. So how we will create a project? So as I earlier explained that project is a server level object. So this is your server. You can see. So the image for this, the computer sign, and this is your server for SAP MII. And all the projects that you will be creating inside the server. So you can see there are different projects already been created inside this server. So whenever you are creating a project inside a server, the same projects automatically gets created inside the catalog, object, web, and meta-NF. Because project is at the server level, project is a server level variable, server level object. So it will, whenever you will create it, it will go in all these tabs. It will be available. So let me show you. Just right click on this server and you will see here the new project. Okay. So click on this new project and here you can give a project name. So I have given a project name as my first project. Just click OK. So I created a project. Go to search it here. Okay. So it is at the last. You can see here there is a my first project. And this project is empty. Nothing is here. There is no object been created here. So as I told earlier that whenever you are creating a project, that project is at the server level object and that will be available in all this tab. Click on the object. Here also you will find your project, my first project. See, and here you can see nothing is there, that is empty. If you will be clicking on the web, so inside the web also you will find the same project that you have created, my first project, and nothing is there in the web folder. And the same in a meta NF, you can see the same project is available here as well. And if you will expand it and clicked on shared memory property, so here you can create your shared memories. So what all object you can create inside a project in a catalog tab? If you want to know, just right click on this project in a catalog and just move your cursor to new. So these all objects you can create inside your catalog. Transaction, aggregate queries. So any type of queries you will need to create inside your catalog. Transaction will be created in catalog. Display template like iGrid, iTicker, iChart. So all this display template will be created only inside your catalog tab. Okay. So you can see easily that what all object is permissible to create here, that will be listed here. I'm moving to the object. So what all objects you can create in SAP MI inside that object tab? So right click here, move your cursor to new. So here you can see you can create your persistent MDO, on-demand MDO, joined MDO, base KPI, composite KPI, and alert. So these all objects are only allowed to be created inside your object tab inside the project. In the web tab, if I'm going here and right clicking and move my cursor to the new file, you can see HTML, JSP, IRPT, and blank files. So these all objects only you can create inside your web page, web tab. And same like that in the meta NF, you can create your shared memory properties. Okay. So each tab have some specific object that only will be created there. You cannot create uh, the object that is not allowed to be created. Okay, so each object has been categorized that in which tab that will be created. Okay, so for that only I have listed down here. You can see the SAP MI project is the server level, VLS or transaction query template display template coming under the catalog tab, MDO and KPI and alerts coming under the object tab, web pages related files coming under the web tab, and shared memory property related development and creations coming under the web INF tab. So now you have created one project. So next what you can do, you can create your own folder structure inside the project. Like for the basic example, whenever you are organizing your personal data, you create many folders, and inside that you keep your file, right? So it makes it easier to find it out where you have kept which file. So like same, you can create a folder structure here as well, and in that folder structure you can organize your object. So which type of object, what objects you are going to create, that actually you can create a folder, and inside that you can organize. So right click on the project and click on the new folder, and here I am just creating one query template. So this is a folder I have created for the query template. So if I will expand it, the query template folder is here. Why I have created that? Whatever the query I will be going to write, I will write inside the query template folder. If I am going for the display template, so I'm creating one folder for the display template, and I will keep all the display templates objects inside the display template folder. Like that, actually, I can create here for transaction. So I have created one folder transaction, and that transaction folder will contain all the transactions that I'm going to create. Okay. So these all are the objects, the folder I have created inside the project. That is the part of my project in a catalog. This will not be inherited here in the object. You can see here. So only the projects you are creating will be available in all the tab. Inside the project, whatever you are creating, that is specific to that tab only. It will not inherited into the different tab. So here, how you can create a transaction. So for creating a transaction, just right click, new, and click on transaction. So here you can see a transaction has been created with a single, with the first empty sequence. You can save it and give the name. You can save it, and this transaction is inside your transaction folder. So okay, so here, what is SAP MI transaction? Okay, so SAP MI transaction is used to write a business logic in SAP MII. So whenever you have to write a business logic, a transaction need to be written. And transaction is always a combination of sequence and action. Okay, so transaction is a combination of sequence and action. So now let me just remember here, transaction is a collection of sequence and action, and a transaction consists of global variable, transaction variable, or local variable. So global variable is can be used in any transaction that you are creating on a server in SAP MII. Either that transaction is available in any of the project, you can use the global variable in that. Transaction variable is specific to the transaction that is mainly used for a transaction input and output. So there is a transaction, suppose I have created here the adding a two number. So the input will be the first number and second number, and output will be the sum of that transaction. And you can create a local variable for the transaction as well. So local variable, the meaning is that this variable can be used in that transaction only. This uses of the local variable is the limited to a transaction for which you have created it. So let me move to the workbench, and here you can see a transaction. So whenever I created a transaction, one empty sequence created. So this is known as a sequence. So as I told, transaction of sequence and action to the business logic. Okay, so as I got, transaction is the combination of sequence and action. So now what is the sequence? So sequence is the placeholder action. So now the question is coming, what is the action? So action in SAP MII, action is similar to function. So here action is a similar to the function. Okay, so what is the function? Function is a specific a specific a line of codes that actually used to perform a task. So function is nothing but where you are writing a logic, giving some input and getting some output. So same thing is the action. In an action also you are giving some input and getting some output. So SAP MI has a lot of actions block already available that you can just use and write your logic. And action can be placed inside your sequence. Okay. So as in a function, as you know, there might be a function without argument. You are not sending any parameter in a function. So like that, there are actions as well in SAP MII which doesn't need any input, but it will give output to you. So whenever I created this transaction, you can see a first sequence has been created. So you cannot create a transaction without a sequence. So always at least one sequence should be there, and that sequence is known as a root sequence. So if I will try to delete this sequence from this transaction, see, cannot delete the root sequence because only one sequence is there. You cannot delete from the transaction. Transaction cannot be created without a sequence. So at least one sequence should be there. And as I explained, a sequence is the placeholder for your action. So if I will come here you can see the action. These all are the action categories. Okay, and inside that there are each action categories contains one or more than one actions. Okay, so let me expand it, the logics related actions. So logic related actions, these all are the available. Like in any programming language, you know that there is a conditional statements are there, for loop are there, repeaters are there. So like that, it has the action that actually you can use in your logic, and you can build your requirements in SAP MII. So the assignment action block. So assignment action block is nothing but your equal to sign. You are just assigning some value from one variable to another variable, or assigning some constant or a string value to a particular variable. So for that, you are using the assignment action block. So I'm just uh, putting here, just click and drag. The assignment action block will placed inside the sequence. So that's the reason I told that sequence is a placeholder for action. Okay, and this is the transaction. So I can create a transaction variable or local variable to this transaction. So I'm creating a transaction variable here, num1, and making it integer. And just click on add num2, and select here the data type for this variable. Click OK. So these two are the input variable for this transaction. You can see there is a transaction type input variable, type is input. I am going to create one output variable. So what is the output variable? The output variable, if I am going to create the sum, the addition of both or two number. And for this also I'm going to select the data type integer. And here you need to mark it as the output parameter. So I'm just marking it to the output parameter. Click on OK. Now save it and go to the double click on this action. Go to the configure link. So here you can see whatever transaction variable you have created here, it's visible here. So from the right hand side, I am selecting the sum. So whatever you are selecting from right hand side, that will be a left to the equal to sign. It means some value you are going to assign into sum, and that will come into the target path where you want to assign some value. So I want to assign the sum of two number inside the transaction dot sum variable. So in the expression, I will write the num1 plus num2. So this is the number 1 plus double click on num2, and this is the num2. So now this action block is going to sum this number 1 and number 2 and going to assign into the sum variable. Okay. So what all operators are allowable in SAP MII? You can see here the and, or, plus, minus, greater than. So these all are the operators you can use. And there are many functions like string functions, mathematical functions already available inside that, and you can see all these available functions. And if you need in a logic, you can do that as well. So update it, and one link has been created, and that link is what this link is doing. It's doing an addition of the two number and assigning into the sum variable. And right click and just add a sequence, another sequence you can add by right click on the any one of the sequence. So here I want to see either it's two number is getting added or not. So in any language like C plus or C, the printf is used to display some value, right? Or system.out.println is used in Java. So here we have one action inside the logging action category tracer. And inside the tracer, actually, we can map the value, whatever you want to see at the time of the unit testing. So double click here and go to the configure link. And whatever you want to display, just map inside the message input variable of that tracer. So I want that in the transaction variable sum, I want to display that what is the sum for the two number. And now save it and click on test. So you can see tracer 0 is giving me a 0 output. The reason is that my first number and second number is 0. If you will change here your first number, suppose I'm changing it to 20, and second number I'm changing it to 30. So if I will run my transaction now, it will give me 50. Okay, so like that, actually you can write. This is very simple transaction. I just wanted you to explain that how you can write a transaction. So like that, you can write your logic by using your actions available in SAP MII, and you can write your any complex business logic in SAP MII. And whatever the transaction you have created, and this transaction you can call from the any browser as well. It means from like a URL also you call this transaction. So how we will do that? So let me show you. Okay, so this is the URL. Let me use that URL. So here you need to give your server name and port, and after the transaction path, and whatever the parameter value you need to give, and what is the output parameter. And then actually you can run from the browser. So let me run the transaction I created recently. So let me copy the server and port for SAP MI. So this is the server and port for SAP MI. I'm putting here. And the transaction equal to transaction path. So how you will get the transaction path? So this is your transaction. Right click on this transaction and just click on copy. Okay, so here I'm replacing with the transaction path. So this is my transaction path, and here it is the parameter. So let me give you the parameter. parameters equal to and then value. Okay. So what is the transaction parameters? So just copy from here, num1 and num2. So just I'm writing here num1. This is the case sensitive. So you need to give the same value whatever you are giving in a transaction. And the second is num2. Num2 is equal to I'm giving 3000 and then ampersand, and the output parameter that I have created, that is sum. Okay. Sum. And here I'm just giving a content type. XML. Okay, so now I'm copying this URL, going to the browser, pasting the URL in the browser and just click here. So can you see here, if your transaction got run and you will getting a sum here 4000. Okay, so you have provided here the value like 3000 and 1000, both got added and 4000 is coming here. And this is the format, is your XMI XML format. Okay, so thank you very much. I will make some more videos on MDOs or some other MI object.